Hey guys, I'm Kellen and we're at a property of mine that I just picked up. I haven't even closed on it yet, but the current owners gave me the keys so that I can show the unit to some prospective tenants. So we're gonna go in there, I'll give you some tips on how I screen for tenants, and we'll also talk about the deal itself. Hey guys, so welcome to the duplex. I purchased it, it's in Soho in London, Ontario, and this was actually a private deal that I picked up from the owner. And what happened was there was a junk run guy I use for my dump runs and that kind of thing, and he drives around London all the time. He actually saw the for sale by owner sign out in front of the house, so he sent me a text and said, here's the address, here's the guy's phone number, give him a shout, because he knows that I would give him a $1,000 finder fee if he ever finds a property that I closed on. So he doesn't know yet, but I'm gonna be tossing him a $1,000 e-transfer as soon as I close on the place. The idea with this place is it's not actually a big value add. Most of the properties that I'm purchasing are typically significant value add, either through strategic renovations, increasing rents, whatever it may be. In this case, it's pretty much turnkey, which is an anomaly in my portfolio, and the price is a bit of an anomaly in that case as well. I paid a lot more than I typically would, only because it's very low headache and it came in pretty great condition already. So we go into this bedroom here. This is just the larger of the two bedrooms. It's got lots of natural light. I try and really emphasize this room because it's the nicest room in the unit. So we have the closet here, and I just kind of show them around. I always mention we got big windows with lots of natural light. Everything's nice and clean. People are happy to see this, and you kind of get a feel for if this is gonna be their room or their kids' room or whatever it is. When I used to show my units, I would get people reaching out and I would just say, yep, let's schedule time and come out. And then I found all these people not showing up. They'd come into the unit and be like, oh, it's smaller than I thought, and that sort of thing. So rather than wasting my time, I started sending the same message to every tenant that reaches out to me. And basically it just says, hi there, have you had a chance to view the video walkthrough? And I always provide a YouTube link to a private video. And basically that way they can actually see a video walkthrough the place before they even come here. And they know the size of the space, they get a good feel for it. And a lot of times people say, it's too small, whatever, great. I didn't have to actually go out and show them that. And then the next thing I say is, would you mind sharing what you're doing for work currently and who the unit would be for, including any pets? So that question alone gets me where they're working or what their income sources may be, which could be a telltale sign. You know, if they're a tech worker downtown, that's amazing for a certain property. Oh, I'm a student, whatever it may be. You know, I'm an older person, I have a pension, whatever. You get a feel for what their income source is, and you get a feel for if the unit is a good fit for them in that way as well. And then they tell you who the unit's for. So, okay, it's me and my girlfriend, me and my partner and our daughter. Maybe it's me and my uncle and my grandma, which is like a little bit of a weird situation. You're like, this isn't a good fit for the unit, whatever it is. So you get a feel for that sort of stuff. They tell you what pets they have as well. And then I say, if you have any questions as well, feel free to pass them along. And that actually can be really helpful as well, because people start saying, oh, you know, is it on the main floor? Are there tenants above you or below you? Are there whatever? Like, they start asking questions. And if there's like a long list of questions and they're a little bit suspect, you get a feel for if they're gonna be necessarily maybe a little bit high maintenance. It's not that I'm not willing to answer all these questions. I'd love to, but you can tell sometimes, you'd be surprised how carried away people get with these questions. So it's a great way to get a feel for the way that they're handling themselves as well. This is kind of the hard pitch in the unit. So this is the living room, but the problem is that the kitchen is also right over here. So the challenge is kind of explaining the workflow of the unit, and it's a little bit tough because a lot of people would picture this as a dining room. So it's a hard pitch in that way, but if you find the right person, you can get people renting it, then everyone's happy. So we go over here. We've got the other bedroom and the bathroom. We can start with the bathroom if you'd like. So there's nothing really special going on in there, but it's turnkey, so I don't have to do anything with the place. People can just come in, I'll get my cleaner to come through, make sure everything shines, and people can move right on in. And then we're into one of the bedrooms. Another really quirky thing, smaller bedroom, quite small, but could be good for a kid's room. And then it does have a closet, it's a good sized closet. And the funny thing about this unit is it actually also has an exterior door in it, which is a little bit strange, but it leads out to the backyard. So when I'm in this room, I tend to say, look at this beautiful backyard, and kind of draw their attention to the beneficial parts of the unit. Now, none of this is to be like dishonest with the tenants, but there's no point in highlighting the negative features of your unit. So you don't want to say, it's a small room and just kind of stand in it. You want to say, look, these are the good things. It's got a good closet. You got your room here, and you can talk about the patio and the gardening or whatever it is. Highlight the positive features of the unit. So that's what I tend to do when I'm walking through. So when I'm actually in the unit with the tenant, I like to schedule my showings in a way where I have at least 10 minutes with them. So 10-minute intervals rather than doing a big open house where you're just filled with people and you're generating FOMO, which could be maybe a good thing, but in this case you can't actually get to know them and speak with them. So I like to talk to them as I'm walking through the unit. Oh, who is this for again? Can you remind me where you're working? See if it feels like a good fit for them. The two main things that are like not functional, measurable things that I like to look for in tenants are my gut feeling. It's important to say that, they give you good vibes. They're not kind of weirding you out a bit or asking strange questions. Just good, normal people that seem comfortable. So the other thing is going to be that they're a good fit for the unit. So what do I mean by that? Well, it's just going to be that, this is a 2-bedroom unit and maybe it's a single person and their son or daughter, or maybe it's a couple with their son or daughter, or maybe it's just a couple or a single person with their dog. Things like that feel like a good fit. If someone's like, it's 3 adults, you're like, how is that going to work, right? So you want to make sure that it makes sense for the unit, because you're going to get significant turnover if you're filling your units with a bunch of people that don't necessarily fit the unit. So after we've already done the walkthrough and you've gotten a feel for the tenant, they've gotten a feel for you and the unit, I send off the application to them, and only if they're seriously interested, so that I'm not just blasting off an application to a bunch of people that aren't necessarily interested. So while I'm here, I get their email address, I send them a very basic email. In the body of the email, I provide the address of the unit, the rent, so everything's very clear and there's no way of misunderstanding anything. I ask them to attach a photo of a recent pay stub as well as ID. And this way, if there's ever an issue, you have their actual real legal name, you have recourse in the court, that sort of thing. Of course, their pay stub for referencing their income. And then you want to get a landlord reference, and ideally a previous landlord reference as well. So not just their current one, but the one before that, because their current one may just want them out for one reason or another. And it's nice to know that the previous landlord was also happy with them. You're not always going to get it, but it's a good thing to ask for. Employer's name, phone number, and address. You're not necessarily going to call their employer, but it's nice that they're going to be able to provide that information. It shows that they're a little bit comfortable with you and with their employment. Year, make, and color of their vehicle, so that you know if they have more than one vehicle, all this sort of thing. These aren't things that, maybe you already talked to them about this and they only have one car, but you want to systematize these things because we eventually get very comfortable with our process, and then we end up forgetting little things. So it's good to just have that checklist and send the same email every time and follow your process, even if you're very comfortable and used to what you're doing. And then professional reference as well. So something other than their landlord. It's nice to get a coworker or a professor or some kind of a supervisor role or whatever it may be, somebody in their life that isn't just my buddy or my sister, that kind of thing. So then once you've gotten their application, you have their previous landlord and that sort of thing, you call them up, you check that they're actually a landlord, and you do that not necessarily by asking for proof in any way, but you just start talking to them about landlord type things, and you get a feel for if they're actually a landlord at all, right? And then you get a feel for if they seem like they're trying to push the tenant out, or if they actually are trying to provide you a real reference. So this kind of stuff is a bit of an art. It's not necessarily a science where you know exactly what to do, but be friendly with them, be open with them, have a conversation, ask them, what their experience was. Did they pay their rent on time? When they left the place, did they leave it in good condition? All that sort of stuff. And then I like to actually end the call by saying, by the way, any chance you know of any private deals or any properties you're considering selling? Because you're already on the phone with a landlord. They own properties probably in the same city. It's nice to just see if you can get a lead in that case, and I've had luck with that before, so it's a nice little pro tip that you can try as well. Credit scores are another thing. You can decide whether that works for you or not. I don't think it's essential, but it's easy nowadays. You can actually get them to log on to things like Credit Karma or Borrowell. These are different websites in Canada or whatever it is in the States. You can get them to print out a copy. Of course, they can edit it, so there's all sorts of other systems in place where you can pull a tenant's credit score rather than them pulling it themselves. It comes with a fee. There's different ways to do that. I would recommend doing that. It's not something I always do. I think that a big thing is when you get multiple applicants that seem like they're really good, it's nice to be able to just you need to be kind of quick on that decision, because if they're good for you, they're probably good for other units in the city that they're applying for as well. So it's nice to be able to lock that tenant down before they find another unit. So I like to get their application as quickly as possible. And if I'm really getting a good feeling about everything and I don't really have any major concerns, that's when I tend to say yes. And I'm going to pick based on how long the tenant seems like they want to be there for. So are they going to be there for a year, maybe a few? You can kind of work that into the conversation as well. Ask how long do you think you might be here for? What their intentions are, and then pick the tenant that seems like they're going to be the best fit for the unit. So again, we talked about fit. Think about them living in here. Does it make sense for them? Are they gonna have to like be quirky with it and try and make it work, or is it just a really good fit for them? And I try and go with the people that it fits the best for. So this process can take anywhere from like a few days to a week. I like to try and do it within 3 or 4 days. So I tend to line up my showings on a Saturday and Sunday. People tend to be more available at that time, and you can book them in 10-minute intervals. A little more, it crams into their schedule a bit better, and it works for you as well. On the Monday, I try and call all the references and get that lined up as quickly as possible so that I can lock down a good tenant quickly. And I always reach out to anyone who sent out an application so that they're not wondering, just because it's good karma. And we've all been in that situation where we've applied to somewhere and they just never talk back, they just never reach out to you again. So don't be that person, reach out to everyone. I like to actually show my units sometimes mid-renovation. So as you can see, the kitchen's not the most beautiful right now. It's fine, but I am gonna be painting the cabinets and that kind of thing. So I show them, look, this is a previous renovation I've done before. I'm gonna replace the handles with nice modern handles. I'm gonna paint these white, and I show them a photo of a unit that I've done that in before, and they can see exactly what it's gonna look like after. So sometimes I've shown units where they're gutted to the studs, and I say it's gonna be available in 3 months. And people are happy sometimes to do that, because a lot of the high quality tenants, they're giving 60 days notice to their current landlord. So ideally, they're gonna be looking for units pretty quickly as well. And they're gonna say, hey, look, I can see how this is gonna look. Show them previous renovations on your phone. So maybe email them photos, and they can get a feel for the type of person you are, the type of renovations you do, and they can feel comfortable renting a unit from you even before it has walls up. So this is an important set of steps to follow. You don't necessarily have to follow mine, but look around and see what other people are doing. In general, do your tenant screening. You know, make sure you're getting people that are gonna be low headache in your unit. It's gonna make your whole portfolio lower headache. You're gonna get fewer calls. Your property is gonna be maintained in better shape. And the next time you do a tenant turnover, your showing is gonna be that much better, because the tenants are gonna have nice furniture in there and things will be clean. So it's gonna make the whole process easier for you. So hopefully that was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions, leave them down below, but we'll see you next time.